And welcome, one and all. You are tuning into the Apptrepreneur Show. It is April the 15th, 2021. This is kind of the rebirth of the podcast, which will now be weekly. And of course, on this podcast, we like to see how it's a relaunch. We are already messing up, but this is the podcast where we discuss tech, pop culture, and life in between. Me and a co-host of my choosing. And this week we have the crypto master, the Robinhood king. We have Aaron, your personal driver.
What's up? How's everyone doing?
There's no one watching now, but I'm sure all the podcast listeners on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, whatever the heck they call it. I use YouTube Music. What can I say? I'm sure they will appreciate you being here. So how are you doing today, Aaron?
I'm fabulous. As a side note, I have lost 30 pounds in the last 3 months.
Nice. Excellent. I am back on the, just overall eating better and exercise. Now, here's the thing, folks. I was actually really good at exercise. There was a health scare a couple years ago, and I got that health concern under control. But then the pandemic hit, and it, shut down the gyms, kept us locked indoors. And unfortunately, things got a little worse, but I am now back on that track, and I am now fully vaccinated. Me and my wife, we are going to finally be able to go back to the gyms, back to lifting weights. So thankfully, I did not get as heavy as I was before the diagnosis, but I gained a few pounds. It's like I'm now up to losing that weight. It's a good feeling when you lose weight, and then it's a horrible feeling when you relapse a little bit, so to speak.
Up, Joe C?
Josie's
what happened to me, I got hit by a truck and I couldn't walk for a while, so
yeah,
a lot of weight.
Yeah, walking is the easiest way, most effective way you can lose weight. They say just 30 minutes of walking a day, which I aim for like an hour. I'll do a walk after this show, but
boom.
Yeah, I can see why that would be a hindrance if you can't walk.
I'm still not pre-accident weight, but I didn't realize how much weight I gained, until I started getting on the scale after I recovered.
Right, exactly. So, anyway, folks, it's good to have you, Aaron, and let us start with the stories at hand. We have, I believe we have 4 topics to discuss.
There's
today.
No way we're getting to all 4, but it's good to have a plan.
Oh no. There's one that I could think of that I would want to cut, but I will keep it rolling along just nicely. So anyway, the first topic is a little company called Coinbase. Now, some of our viewers might be aware of what Coinbase is. For those of you who are not aware of what Coinbase is, it is a app where basically you buy cryptos. These guys were well ahead of the curve. They saw that crypto was going to be a big thing. They built a platform that would be a safe and secure way to buy and sell it and actually use it as currency, which I know a lot of people are buying it like stocks. That's full disclosure, kind of the way I own it. I own my crypto on Robinhood, which, as you pointed out last time, you don't actually own the coins, you just own the value, although whether I can use the coins as currency or whether I can get the dollar value for them, it's a little concern to me personally. But crypto was a revolutionary app, like so many revolutionary apps in the last 5 years, and they decided to go public yesterday. Now, for the record, and we also want to add, this is not financial advice. I did not
financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. In fact, I am a crazy person, and you shouldn't listen to me.
No, neither of us are financial experts. I did not buy Coinbase, although I probably will at some point. You, I believe, did own some Coinbase, although it seems like you sold it almost immediately afterwards.
I didn't sell all of it, but no, I did. Like, I used a lot of my margin on my Robinhood account for it too. I mean, I've been so excited for this. It wasn't an IPO; it's a direct listing, but for this listing, that I felt like I should get a second mortgage on my house just to invest it into Coinbase. Like, that's how pumped I'm about it.
Yeah, and again, we're not actually recommending you do that.
Also, don't get a second mortgage on your house to invest into the stock market.
That's usually not a good idea. So, well, anyway, and Jack Smith said that Katie made over, I don't know who that is. So
Kevin Durant was one of the original investors in Coinbase. He invested $250,000 in 2016, and we don't know if he sold any of his shares or not. But at the height yesterday, which was like 27 or something like that, he made $16 million on top of the 250 grand.
Okay,
if he sold at the high point.
Yep. So, and that's pretty much what we're talking about, because Coinbase definitely premiered big. They opened at $381 each, and they traded as high as $429.54. Now, keep in mind, the original, what they thought that this was going to be going for was about $250. That's what they thought it was going to go for, and it not only opened well above $250, but it kept climbing until at one point it came down a little bit more. So this is what Bloomberg says. Cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase Global Incorporated soared above a $112 billion valuation in its trading debut Wednesday, then slipped back below its opening price as Bitcoin fell from record highs and tech stocks fell across the board. In fact, we were having a texting exchange yesterday, and you said that Coinbase crashed and it took the whole market with it, which sometimes happens. I mean, my wife likes to say that the stock market feels like a lot of high school drama. Like, one person does this thing and then everyone else has to suffer as a result of it.
I call the stock market the collective feelings of old rich white men.
I just think it's a bunch of high school cliques. I think that high school analogy is much more appropriate, but whatever. The massive valuation, which dwarfs more traditional financial companies, including Intercontinental Exchange Group and NASDAQ itself, is a landmark moment for the crypto industry and for Coinbase, which was started almost a decade ago when few people had even heard of Bitcoin, and many exchanges were run by amateurs from their garages and homes. Coinbase shares closed at $328.28, down 14% from $381 opening price on NASDAQ, which, we're going to talk about that, after earlier climbing as high as $429.54. At the closing price, the company's valuation on a fully diluted basis is about $86 billion. So that's, look, I'm not going to lie, it's impressive. It's super impressive that they got it, that got that high. I'm going to say this about this, though. I kind of joined the growing chorus of, I guess, stock analysts, even though I wouldn't necessarily take their word as gospel either, to be honest. The stock market is way too volatile to really, truly be able to predict anything. But, you have like Jim Cramer and stuff saying like, this is just absolutely insane. Like, you're starting way too high. These companies don't earn those high stock prices. And, it's not the first time that I've seen a stock go way above what anyone was expecting it to do and then ultimately get hit really hard later on. In fact, since this is an app-based company and this is the Apptrepreneur show, and we do talk about apps, we have for pretty much the entire existence of the channel. Other companies that went above what they thought were going to be asked for and then ultimately crashed. Lyft thought they were going to open at 64, started at 87. I think it's back down to 660 or something like that. Got as low as $11 at one point. Uber, they didn't even get out the gate. They're finally worth more than their IPO. They started at like 40 or something, and then just kept going down and down. And now, once a law has been passed that basically says that they can legally screw drivers over, now they're about $66. DoorDash, for me, was the real insane one. I mean, you and me, we actually spoke on the phone. This was not for a podcast. This was not for the Apptrepreneur show. We were on the phone and we laughed. And thankfully, I'm going to share a quick story. I had a friend who likes DoorDash, and this is, by the way, what's the problem with what they call retail investors. She's like, I like DoorDash. Maybe I'll buy their stock. And I basically encourage strongly that she not do that. And she thanks me because DoorDash has lost, 35% of its value. And it's going to keep going down, folks. That one has no future, in my opinion. But, you know
how they make money.
Yeah, but, no, they don't make money. So here's kind of the thing. There's kind of a few stories in this one. First of all, I'm not terribly surprised that Coinbase came out of the gate swinging. I mean, this was highly anticipated. And when you've got the general public invested in buying an IPO, which I know it's not really an IPO, but, just because it's
Direct
simpler. Yeah, just because it's simpler for people. It's public now. That's the bottom line. And when you have the general public who wants to buy it, it's going to do that. But you also know that at this point, the companies have not really earned that high value. And that the crash is inevitable. There's a reason why many people suggest when it comes to IPOs to wait a full year before you buy anything. And I'm going to be honest, there's only one IPO that I've partaken in the last 5 years, and that was Airbnb, because that seemed pretty solid. But even that's kind of been stuck in a weird place.
It's up. It's way up. It's like 30% or something like that. I mean, it's
yeah, but it got to a high of like 210, and now it's like 170 something. Yeah. So it's like, that's a little disappointing. But
you're not buying Airbnb for what what it's worth now. You're buying for what it's going to be worth in 10 years. I mean,
and that's the whole idea behind stocks, admittingly, that you are buying for the future. But I don't know. I know you've been chomping at the bits to share your opinion. So here's, I guess, Mike, the questions I have for you. Do you think that this price was way too high when it opened? Do you think it was just right? And if it was, or if it wasn't, why not? And what do you think of the recent dip?
Okay, so I guess the way I'll answer that question is, if I could sell you like a stock in JP Morgan or in Goldman Sachs or one of these other large investment firms like that, when they first debuted, how much money would you spend knowing that they would get to where they would be now? That's the way you have to look at this, because right now I'd say 1% of your viewers probably know what Coinbase even is, and that's because your viewers are more tech savvy than most. But if you look worldwide, it's probably less than 0.1% of the world knows what Coinbase is. So Coinbase is the premier place to buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Okay, it's an exchange in itself. Essentially, the way you can look at it is it's a digital Wall Street. And the reason Coinbase specifically is doing so well is that the on-ramp is what the online technocratic people call it. But the ease in which you can take cash money and exchange it for coins is unique to just Coinbase. They're the ones that figured it out. Like, there are a ton of exchanges in the cryptocurrency world. My personal favorite is Kraken, but it is undeniable that all of them are much harder to get money into than Coinbase. I mean, Coinbase, if you don't mind paying an extra $1 per transaction, you can just use your debit card and then just push a button and they will front you the money, much like Robinhood does. You can buy and sell your coins, and then they'll wait 3 to 5 days for the transaction to go through.
All right. And admittingly, I started really using Coinbase primarily because they were in the news because of this IPO. And so, hey, on that level, that it was great advertising. Yeah. A lot of people signed up for Coinbase who didn't know it existed. And it very much is like Robinhood in its simplicity. Now, for those of you who want a little bit of an update on the whole Webull experiment, the whole Webull experiment pretty much is dead in the water, because unless I'm going to buy something that I just have no intention of even checking out on a daily basis to see how it's doing, because I just know it's always going to be there, Webull is much more cumbersome. It's far more difficult to read. It's not as intuitive.
I think it's a great app. if we're to take the tangent, for day traders, like if you're a day trader, you're going to put, 5-10 grand in there and play with their, do the buy low, sell high thing. There's a lot of information you can get on there, but I don't need all that information. I do my own research, and I just want to click a button once I made my decision.
Right. Well, and the general
Robinhood, it's just I click a button and then I go back to what I was doing.
Right. Well, and then the general public, they don't understand what a lot of that information means. So Robinhood puts it in a way that maybe oversimplifies it. That is a potential criticism of Robinhood, but people kind of understand it. Like, well, if it's green, it means it's up for the day. If it's red, it means it's down for the day. There you have it. So I think that is Coinbase's strength, and I think they will be good in the future. Now, one of the criticisms that people like our buddy Jim Cramer has brought up because of the stock prices starting out so high, this is just in general, is that obviously people who are interested in these companies might buy more stock if the shares were priced lower. And is this not counterproductive to a certain extent? Because especially when you're starting out at $3.50 a share or whatever it was, I mean, and a lot of these people are buying them on Robinhood. I mean, the memes write themselves, but you spend that kind of money, you get fidgety real fast if it starts to go lower.
So this is my biggest problem with investing and what advice and stuff you get is people say, oh, you don't invest with emotion. You invest in the fundamentals, right? Like you do the research and see if you like. That's not how investing works at all. Because honestly, the price of a stock does not matter if it's $1 or if it's $10,000, because you can buy a fraction of a share. So the only thing that matters is how much are you going to make percentage wise on that investment. So Amazon, it's $3,200 right now. You can put $1,000 into Amazon and own a fraction of one share, or you can buy one of my favorite penny stocks, which is Naked, NAKD. It's like 50 cents right now a share. You can put $1,000 into Naked, and all that matters is the percentage. If Amazon goes up 10%, you've made 10% on your $1,000. If you put 10%, or if Naked goes up 10%, you make money on the Naked, right? It's the percentage. So that's where I get a little frustrated with these analysts that say, oh, 350 is too high. Well, that doesn't matter. Are you going to invest in the company or not? Do you think it's going to go green, or do you think it's going to go red? If you think it's going to go green, yeah.
Well, speaking of Naked, I mean, boy, at one point they were on fire. How are they still in business?
It's an Australian brand that has a lot of different adult toy and undergarment companies, we'll put it that way. I think the biggest brand in the U.S. is Fredericks of Hollywood. And they had some real bad problems with management, and then no one's doing it anymore because of the pandemic. And no one has any money. So if you don't have money to pay rent, you're not going to go buy some sexy underwear. No one's even dating anymore right now. So I think it'll go back. It doesn't have to go back up to $600 a share to make money. It just go up 10 or 15%.
Oh no, not at that price. So I mean, who knows? I might get a little. I might get a little of that.
And if you're going to invest in a crappy company like this, it's got to be with money that if you wake up tomorrow and it's gone, that you're not going to cry about.
Oh yeah, no, I'll put $50 in it, and like that. That'll be it. It's no more crazy than putting money into Doge. That's for certain.
But anyway, I wanted to get back to Coinbase because there's just one more thing I wanted to say, and that is I wanted to explain how the process that a normal person would have to go through in order to get a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, or like you said, Dogecoin, or whatever, Ethereum, whatever the thing is that you want. And that is, most exchanges, first off, they look shady because it's just like a website that you go to. And you're like, I'm going to send these people money. Hopefully they do something with it. And it usually takes a while to transfer the funds to this exchange. And they usually have to do it through like a traditional wire transfer. which if you've never done a wire transfer before, for a normal person who's never done this before, that seems kind of shady,
Yeah.
And there's limits on how much you can transfer. And a lot of times the limits are small because you're buying Bitcoin, and your bank doesn't like that. So a lot of times you'll only get like $500, $2,000 limit, right? Then that money gets on an exchange. And then you have to buy and sell on that exchange. And what is confusing for the lay person, the normal person who's getting into crypto, is you have to set up what's called a wallet, or a key. Well, I don't know how to explain this to a normal person without confusing them. But to own cryptocurrency, you have to have a sequence of letters and numbers that designates that is your wallet. It's where your money goes, right? So think of it as a digital wallet where you deposit or withdraw your coins. And that's confusing. Also, if you lose the key, then you lose your money. It's gone forever. So don't lose your crypto key. It's like cash, right? If you lose your wallet with $50 in it, you're never getting your $50 back. If you lose your digital wallet, you're never getting your money back. Then from there, you can store it, you can buy things, you can sell things, or you can sell it back on the exchange. And that whole process is super confusing for just somebody who wants to invest in cryptocurrency because they heard that you could make money doing it, right?
Right.
And so there are only two places where you can go that have simplified the process to buy and sell cryptocurrency without going through all that havoc and nonsense. And the two places you can go right now and pay with your debit card is Robinhood and Coinbase. Okay. But Robinhood does not give you an individualized wallet. In other words, the series of numbers and letters that signify that money is yours, that you they don't have it on Robinhood. So every time, like every year, they say, oh, we're going to give you your own wallets, but they don't. But Coinbase automatically gives you all the keys you want. So a public key, that means you can display that on the internet and nothing will get stolen from you. A private key, which is just for you, so you can store it either offline or on the actual exchange. And it explains step by step how you transfer anything. But even if you don't want to do any of that, you just want to invest in the coin, Coinbase is the only place where you can go with your debit card, buy a coin like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, or whatever it is, and they will automatically store it for you in your own personalized wallet. And you can take it off the exchange, keep it on the exchange, whatever you want to do, it's yours. It's like it is the only on-ramp that takes you from A to B with complete ease of access. And that is why Coinbase is worth more than all these other exchanges. And going forward will be the only play, like the Nike brand or the Coca-Cola brand of these exchanges. The last thing I'll say before I'll let you get me off this topic is Coinbase is also, I don't know, how do I say this for the average person? So there are regulations with every exchange. So if you go to your bank and you want to buy and sell stocks, they have to verify your identity. There are legal requirements that they need for the federal government, and all and everything. Like you usually have to show a driver's license or a social security card or a passport, that sort of thing. Coinbase verifies your identity in the same way any exchange on Wall Street does, to verify that you are the person you are, and that you are buying stuff with your own money. And in doing that, it legitimizes Coinbase versus a lot of these other exchanges. So going forward from here on out, unless these other companies come up to Coinbase's level, that's in the eyes of the general public, they won't be as legitimate as Coinbase, if that makes any sense.
Well, okay. Well, I kind of understand what you're saying, but now one more question for the people at home who didn't get all of that, like, because now we have to because here's the thing. I understand why Coinbase makes their money. They charge fees. You almost drown in the fees. But what about the people who say, well, I don't really know what to do with it once I have it, other than I just want to buy it and seek open value. Like, why would I pay Coinbase a fee instead of just buying it free on Robinhood and do it fee free, if you will?
So that is it's almost a philosophical question. So let me back up a little bit and ask the general question: why money? Why do you think $1 in your wallet is worth anything? It's because collectively we've all decided that $1 is worth $1, right? I mean, it's not backed up by anything. It's backed up by the faith of the U.S. government. It's not backed up by gold or silver or diamonds or anything. It's just a thing that we've decided has value. That's the same thing with like a Bitcoin, for example. So a lot of people call Bitcoin digital gold because people like it as a store of value. So they like to take Bitcoin, put it to the side, and they know later if they need something, the value of Bitcoin will be there. You can buy and sell goods online and in certain companies like China, Japan, South Korea, in real life. Like if you have a phone, your Bitcoin's on your phone, you can scan it at like a Visa card reader there and buy and sell goods with it. But the reason people like Bitcoin is it's the opposite of actual money in the way, meaning that it is worth more in the future or deflationary versus our money, which is worth less in the future, known as inflationary. So if you have a couch full of $10,000, every year that couch is worth 2% less than it was the year before. Because that's how inflation works, right? That's why investing in stocks and bonds is a good idea if you have extra money, because the idea is you'll make more than 2% going forward so that you will retain the value of your money.
Right.
Well, if you put $10,000 into Bitcoin, 10 years ago, your money would no longer be worth $10,000. Your money would be worth in the hundreds of thousands of dollars because the value of Bitcoin has gone up has deflated. Okay. That's also a bad way to run a government. The government, you don't want money to deflate because then no one would spend it and then there wouldn't be an economy and the country would collapse. But that's an economic debate for their time. The other thing I'll say real quick is that is specific to Bitcoin. There are all kinds of coins that have different goals that solve different problems. An example is Ripple. So another one of my real favorite ones. Ripple is not an inflationary currency by it has been because it's been going up, but that's not the goal of Ripple. The goal is to go across country from faster than the current banks do. So if you want to convert your money from dollars to pesos, Ripple will do it faster and cheaper than the current banking system will.
And it should be noted that Ripple is not sold on Coinbase because of something
that's why I like Kraken.
Right.
But and Ethereum wants
you'll have to send me a link to Kraken one of these days.
Yeah, it's a Seattle-based company. And it seems, here's the thing, it seems legit. Like it feels legit to me. That's the biggest problem to me with cryptocurrency exchanges is, people are pretty well, pretty much not worried about Wall Street just not existing tomorrow. Like if I put money into S&P 500, they're not going to close down their website and take my money. But with a crypto website, you don't.
Yeah,
it could be BitConnect tomorrow. You know what I mean? They just take your money and go.
Yeah, that's it. So anyway, just final question. This is a pretty yes and no answer. Do you think Coinbase is worth what it premiered at the price?
I would have paid any amount of Coinbase, and I would have used almost all my margin to buy it, because I think that even though I'm paying a percentage on that margin, I think over time I will make more than that margin back. Yes, if it debuted at $1,000, I would have bought it at $1,000. If it debuted at $40, I would have bought it at $40.
Okay, well, I am personally waiting a week or two to see where the price settles, because there will be a settlement point, and then it's like, then I can decide myself whether or not that is something I want to do. But that leaves now the question to all of you. And by the way, if you're watching this live, there's also a link in the chat room where you can get free Bitcoin if you sign up through my link. I think it's $10, something like that. But anyway, what do you all think? Do you plan to get Bitcoin or not Bitcoin, Coinbase stock? Are you interested in it, or are you not interested, or are you interested but you want to see what happens to the price first? We would love to know exactly what your position on this is. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and
then I'll just throw one more caveat.
Oh no, we're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on.
Thing.
No. We're moving on.
If you're afraid of actually getting cryptocurrency, but you want to get a piece of the cryptocurrency market, Coinbase would be a safer way to do it. A more legitimate way, I should say, not safer. There, yeah. I'm done.
Well, it is more legitimate, and yeah, okay.
I love Coinbase.
And if you're going to do it, we would really appreciate it if you use our referral link. So anyway, let's talk about a topic that you actually used to talk about quite a bit, and I still do, begrudgingly. Kind of been moving on for the most part, but once in a while there's a story and it's like, oh, I can't help myself. I gotta talk about this one. So yeah, Uber. The company that technically built this channel. So as we all know, Uber and Lyft have been struggling during the pandemic. I think Lyft struggled quite a bit more. I think them not having a food delivery service really came back to bite them in the butt. I think no one's going to deny that. Uber, with Uber Eats and then their purchase of Postmates, they were a little better off to, weather this storm. Well, anyway, because of the pandemic and because of safety regulations, a lot of drivers didn't drive for Uber much last year or Lyft. But now we're getting vaccinated and people are getting back on the road, but the drivers aren't coming back. And there's a lot of reasons why they're not coming back. Some of them still don't feel safe. Some of them basically found jobs that paid much better. Not a particularly difficult thing to do, in my opinion. And for some people, and this might sound kind of scummy to you guys, some of them are on unemployment benefits. And frankly, the unemployment benefits pay more. And I mean, that's not a unique problem. That's been a problem for pretty much every job out there for a long time. There's a lot of jobs where the
benefits in a lot of states pay way more than Uber does.
Oh yeah,
more.
Oh yeah. Well, almost anything pays way more than Uber does. I mean, even the people who put their earnings on display, it's like, unless you're also putting the expenses up, don't trust that number, because you are not keeping that whole number. Well, now Uber and Lyft are basically throwing money at drivers to get them back on the road. And this is something that Uber and Lyft does when they need drivers. They shower them with gifts and bonuses and maybe even a tipping option. And you would think that these signs would show that drivers have more power over the companies than the companies want to admit, but whatever. But here's the thing. This money is not going to last forever. It's very temporary. And once they have the drivers, of course, they're going to take it away. And it just brings up the question once more, are these really solid business models? So here's what the Financial Times has written. Habitually early, Amber, who lives in Erie, Pennsylvania, recently gave herself an hour to travel 6 miles to her COVID-19 vaccination appointment. What I didn't bank on, she said later, having missed it, was a complete shortage of both Uber and Lyft drivers. I tried for the entirety of the hour with no luck, and this is, by the way, why they're giving the bonuses. Such experiences have become common in the U.S., the rideshare companies admit, posing a significant problem as both attempt to mount a post-pandemic recovery. Drivers have been slow to return to the platforms for several reasons. Observers say, including the recent arrival of government stimulus money and continued concerns over health and safety. Many former rideshare drivers are also likely to have taken up new jobs in the 12 months since demand crashed because of lockdowns. Now, faced with a complete lack supply to meet the rebound in passengers, because trust me, it's much easier to be an Uber customer than it is to be an Uber driver. The companies are resorting to, quote, throwing money at drivers. Uber announced on Wednesday it would spend $250 million on what it described as a one-time stimulus package to increase incentives for its drivers in the U.S. Now, I'm going to stop there because I think there's an angle of this that is not being discussed in the media, and I think only former Uber drivers can really comment on it. I mean, here's the thing. Uber and Lyft, for that matter, historically don't throw money at people unless, well, they need something from the drivers. And I remember the last time Uber gave these massive bonuses. They were giving them like 10 years ago when they were basically trying to establish their presence in LA and make it more common. Here's one of the reasons I think they're actually throwing this money and it's not being discussed. Because Uber has recently taken away some key features from the drivers. They gave drivers the ability, in California at the very least, to see their destination before they picked up the passenger. They also got to see how much they would make before they accepted that ride. And of course, the big one was the price multiplier. Basically, drivers could list their own price. It was very much like Sidecar. Does anyone else listening to this remember Sidecar? Am I the only one? Anyway, so yes, I do believe Uber is throwing these bonuses out there because there probably is a shortage and they want to try to get drivers off the couch and back into their cars. But I think the other reason they're doing this, and they're just not discussing it really, is that, they of course pissed a lot of drivers off by taking away these features. Although drivers do not quit enough for Uber to ever backtrack on these things, but there's probably at least some drivers quitting. And I think this is kind of more of a get them back because they know that Uber drivers are frankly gullible to a certain extent. You just throw a little money at the problem, or at the driver, as they say, because drivers are a problem for Uber. And basically the drivers will do what you want. That's why a strike, even though it would actually be very effective for Uber, and they've kind of proven it with stories like this, never lasts because all Uber and Lyft have to do is turn on the surge in prime time and the strike is over in 5 minutes. Aaron, am I missing something about this, or do you agree? What's your take on this?
So those of us who are old school drivers, like, this isn't something fantastic. This is just how it used to be. so they're not doing something great for drivers. They're just not screwing you guys as much as they were last year. Incentives for a lot of us, that was where we made like 20-30% of our total income. And then they took the bonuses away, and then everyone's like, well, I'm not going to recruit for Uber for free. And they stopped doing it. And now they're bringing it back. So that's not that big of it. And I don't really care. But I think if you look at it from a larger perspective, a lot of low wage jobs are having trouble getting people to work. McDonald's it's just released a press release about it, that they can't find people to work in all of their stores. There's a labor shortage, and it's a twofold problem. One is most people who are low wage workers are not old enough or don't have the health problems to receive a vaccination in their states, and they don't want to risk their lives to work 40 hours a week at minimum wage. That's almost an unlivable wage anyway. And now they know they can't get kicked out of their house, at least until the end of the year. They're getting a little bit of stimulus money, and why risk your life until you're vaccinated? So that's one problem. And the other is, there's a lot of like under the table stuff you can do, right? You can work at a construction site, under the table cash, and you can still collect your unemployment benefits. So why would you lose that until that's going on? So until they pay more to make it worth risking your life as an unvaccinated person, no one's going to work for these low wage jobs anymore.
And it should be noted also, since we're on the unemployment thing, Uber and Lyft drivers getting unemployment money is a very 2020 thing. They probably will not do this again because technically I think you're technically employees, but officially you're classified as independent contractors, so you don't qualify for unemployment. The issue was that the pandemic was so devastating that basically an exception was made for 2020. So this is probably not coming back, and a lot of people know it's not coming back. So they are basically milking it for what it's worth. Now, another thing I want to point out is, like, unfortunately, and this is probably because of the churn, all the newer Uber drivers, they don't realize that this bonus, they're really getting played. They think, oh, Uber's being nice. They're giving me a bonus. I'm going to take advantage, but you're really getting played, because the bonuses are going to be very, very temporary. I would be surprised if they lasted more than a month, to be honest.
Yeah. All that being said, though, if I was already onboarded on the platform and I was already vaccinated, I mean, if there's not enough drivers, you're going to make more money. There's going to be more surge out there, because that's just how the platform works.
Right.
So,
right. But it is, I kind of encourage.
It's going to be temporary boost in your income, but that's going to be temporary. But if I still drove and I got this big announcement that Uber didn't have any drivers, I might think about maybe turning my app on, to be honest.
But there's a big difference between people who are already on the platform and they're basically just reaping the benefits. And because unfortunately I see it on Facebook anyway. I kind of go incognito on these Facebook forums, and boy, how many people have said, like, okay, they're going to break with their unemployment benefits, or they're going to leave this job because now the bonuses, they're making more per hour than what they're making at their job. People, of course, I don't want to tell you how to run your life. I can only encourage, and I'm just a YouTuber, so what do I know? But I would personally say, please don't do that. This is not going to last.
Yeah. I mean, I have health insurance now, so I'm not going to work for Uber ever again. My job is sweet. Like, I'm not going to even tell you guys what I do, because I don't want you guys to figure out how awesome my life is right now. But just having health insurance is, for me and my family, is enough to never drive for Uber again.
Well,
oh yeah, right, sir. Lisa just said the same thing I said. Look, I've been doing this for 3 years and I've never been so busy. Yeah, see, I'm not surprised. They can't find drivers to get on the road. Go make your money. Just realize it's temporary.
Yep. Now, Donnie says, why would you recommend people breaking the law in a live stream? Really, it's like, we didn't recommend
I did not recommend working under the table. I'm saying people do.
Oh, yeah. No, we're
two different things.
Yeah, that's kind of like a weird expectation to have. Like, that shady things happen, but you shouldn't talk about them, because then you're part of the problem. No, I actually think I'm part of the solution by talking about shady things people do, but whatever. And as Lisa, by the way, this is one of the advantages for those of you who are listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, is that when you do this live on the YouTube channel, sometimes you can be part of the show. But Lisa says, but the bonuses are nothing really, because of what they have been paying us for years. It's back pay. Yeah. And yeah, Uber always winds up ahead of you. And, I just got concerned when I started reading those Facebook posts where people were talking about, like, oh, well, not that I typically encourage people to stay on unemployment, because you know what? I had that roommate. I think we've all had that roommate that lost his job, got on unemployment, and then basically sat on his butt all day and didn't do anything while you went to work and tried to make the money. It's like, those people annoy me when they rely on unemployment like that. But look, in Uber's case, the only reason I'm going to say don't break your unemployment for this is because, yes, it does pay you more. Also, Uber doesn't play by the rules. And
also, be safe, man. There's no reason to risk your life. You don't got to.
Right. You don't need...
If people would rather take unemployment benefits than get a job, that is an indictment on how low wages are in this country. That is not an indictment on somebody trying to live. Because if the overall goal is to put food on the table for your family, then it's a no-brainer. You're going to go where the most money is. And if $600 a month is more money than you're making on another job or whatever, then why would you? You know what I'm saying? It's a no-brainer to me.
Right, and that $600 is more than what Uber will pay you. You see those screenshots where it's like,
you don't have to worry about it. Then people will go back to work.
Right.
You want to know why people don't work at McDonald's right now? Because they don't want to do it for $10 an hour. It's too risky. If it was $30 an hour, I bet you some people would get some McDonald's shirts on and put the little name tag on and go start pushing buttons.
Oh shoot! I'd take a part-time job.
So it's wages are a market just like anything else. It's a labor market, and these companies want to pay pre-pandemic prices for that market when we're in a post-pandemic world. Everybody here knows at least one person who got the coronavirus, and a lot of us, myself included, know several people who have died from it.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
when it's a matter of life or death, you're not going to flip a burger at McDonald's for $10 an hour. That's stupid.
Right. It totally is. But anyway, folks, we would like to know, what do you think of these bonuses, and are they enough to get you back on the road, or to recommend getting people on the road? We would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and flame responsibly.
And
now then,
and Donnie's right when he says that the problem is with these incentives, you're going to get too many people back on the street. That was always the complaint about the bonuses, and people would hate my YouTube channel. They'd say, you're a personal driver, you are screwing the drivers, you're recruiting too many people on the platform, and you're flooding the market with drivers. Stop recruiting people. But no, I never did. I wanted the bonus money. So it's, it's a give and take.
Yep. Oh, by the way, Donnie, I'm just, it was like putting soup in the back of your car and collecting a cleanup fee from Uber. Yeah, that stupid thing that I did 5 years ago. Get over yourselves. If you're still worried about that, you have no life. That's full. Just get over yourselves, seriously. But anyway, since we're talking about markets, let's talk about a story where I'm strangely, I don't know. It's a strange thing about market and product and why you make it. So here's the thing. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron. When you start a business, isn't the primary motivation and the thought process of starting a business is, hey, first of all, I would like to work for myself. That's usually a pretty nice bonus, but you usually have like a product and you believe in that product. You actually like that product usually. And you say, I want to sell this to people and I want to sell it and I want to make a lot of money. Isn't that usually the building blocks of starting a company and creating a product?
Yeah, mostly. I'd say that's the traditional route to go. That
Yeah, when we're talking about traditional, that's
there
fine.
Are other business models. I mean, you got like the Mr. Beast philanthropy model where you make money, give it away to make more money, to give it away, to make more money, to give it away. You know what I'm saying? Like, so,
but that's an abnormal.
That's the exception to the rule. That's not generally what people do it.
Right. Now, well, we have what they say kind of an abnormal business model for a company that we're going to talk about. Now, some people might think that this is going to be getting political. I'm really going to try to avoid that because it's just, it's just such a strange thing that came up. But apparently, anti-gun activist David Hogg actually was going to make a pillow company specifically designed to rival Mike Lindell's My Pillow. Now, let me explain who these people are and kind of put this into context because this is weird. So Mike Lindell is the CEO of a company called My Pillow, and he's kind of become famous because he's a huge Trump supporter, donated a lot of money to the Trump campaign. He's probably not liked by a whole lot of people, and then he's also liked by a lot of other people. So that's just kind of how it is. And it's kind of weird because buying a pillow from him meant that you were supporting our side, in their words. And I don't know what that means. It's a pillow. I don't buy a pillow based on what someone's political views are. I buy the pillow if it's comfy. I go to the store, put it up against my head, and it's like, yeah, I could see myself falling asleep to that. And that's why I buy the pillow. Well, David Hogg saw that Mike Lindell was donating this money to Trump, and he and a buddy of his decided to create a pillow company, of which there's nothing to suggest that David Hogg, who was only 20, by the way, knew anything about that business, specifically to fund causes that Mike Lindell doesn't like. Now, this story is bizarre to me, and I'm wondering, please tell me that this is not the future of companies getting started, because this is really bad.
Oh, no, this is definitely the future of companies starting.
God. I hope not, because here's the thing. Regardless of what you think of Mike Lindell, let me explain how his life worked and why it made infinitely more sense. Because Lindell actually was a drug addict. He was a drug addict, went to jail,
and still may be.
He might still be. You never know. But
based on what he's done in public, I think he might have some stuff up his nose sometimes. He gets a little excited.
Maybe, but the bottom line is, for the most, in this regard, I respect him. Had a bad life. He cleaned himself up. He made a product. He became pretty successful at it. And then because he had a product that people liked, and because he was successful at selling it, he decided to donate money to causes that he believed in. Not everyone believed in them, and that's perfectly fine. Once it's your money, you can do whatever you want with it. But the bottom line is that company was started with the intention, like, I have a good product and I want to make money, and he found success in doing so. But now you have some 20-year-old kid coming in basically saying, okay, I don't like how you spend your money that you have earned, by the way. I'm going to make a counter company, to sell the same product you sell, but I'm going to use that money for these causes instead. No, how good is the product? Doesn't matter. What's the business model? Doesn't matter. It's just, I don't like how you spend your money. Therefore, I'm going to make a company so that I can oppose you. And that's pretty much the reason I want to talk about this, because as someone who is an entrepreneur, and we've been doing the eBay stuff, and you have done entrepreneurial stuff too, this seems like a really bad reason to start a company. So I don't know. First of all, what do you think when you hear this story?
Oh, okay. That's an interesting take on it. And so that's going to change my mind a little bit about what I was going to say about this. Because what you brought up is like a broader, like a philosophical conversation on what you do with money, right?
Mhm.
So you and I, we're married. We're a little older, right? We're not 20. When you're 20, it's a lot easier to live with less money. I have kids and a house and a mortgage and all that kind of stuff. So if we started a business, it would be to provide for the family. This kid, what he does with his money, he has different goals than us, right?
Right.
And it wouldn't be the first company that took money and tried to do some good things with it, right?
Yeah. Paul Newman was famous for that. Like Newman's own, like the ketchup guy, who's also an Academy Award-winning actor, I want to say, like he sold his ketchup and his salad dressings, and the money has always gone to charity.
Right. And then,
but on the other hand, he had a very high-paying job that allowed him the luxury to not worry about that.
Right. And then you have Tom's, those the shoe company. For every shoe you buy, they donate a pair of shoes to somebody in need. So there are other examples of it. But what I do like about what he's doing is, if there's a market for conservative thinking people to buy a pillow based on the views of the CEO, well, then there's also going to be a market for left-wing thinking people, right? Yeah. There is no product right now that, as far as pillows go, that is the liberal brand from it. So if you could legitimately make a good pillow product and market it as the anti right-wing pillow, I think that's a business model I didn't think of. And I'll use this as an example. So my personal political view is that the biggest problem in the United States is money in politics, meaning basically you can give an unlimited amount of money to politicians' campaigns, as long as it's campaign donations, not a direct cash in your hand, right?
Which should not be allowed.
And I think that is bribery. It's bribery by any other name. You can call it political donation. It's bribery. And so there is a it's called Wolfpack. Excuse me. And it's a nonprofit that they go state by state trying to change this. And they've been successful in some states. I think there's 3 or 4 states they've gotten amendments, constitutional amendments passed in those states to outlaw this, right? And one way to support this company is you can buy their coffee. I forget the coffee name. Rebel Pack. Anyway, I bought their coffee for years because I can buy coffee from anyone. But I want to support the idea to get money out of politics and to make campaign paying donations illegal at a constitutional level, so the Supreme Court can overchange it. Now, I know it's a long shot. It may not happen, but I'm going to buy coffee anyway, and their coffee is just as good as anyone else's coffee, in my opinion. So I spend my money on that. Now, if I'm going to buy a pillow and I am a crazy conservative or a crazy liberal, and there's this apparent pillow war going on online, yeah, maybe I'll buy the Lindell pillow because I support that point of view, or maybe I buy the liberal pillow. Now, I've never thought of buying a product based upon that, but I mean, why not, right?
Well, I can think of a few reasons why not. I mean, I think, and by the way, Trump supporters are not off the hook.
The Black Lives Matter pillow.
I think it's equally.
That's a funny comment.
I think it's equally stupid to buy a pillow just because the guy who runs the company is a big donor to Trump or conservative causes.
Mike Liddell is not a serious person. Okay. He's not, he doesn't live in reality. And if he does, he's a professional liar then, because he's saying things that are getting people sued for a lot of money. Right.
Yeah.
He can't be on news channels anymore because Newsmax is getting sued for $1 billion because Liddell said things that just weren't true several times on the outlet, and he won't stop saying them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about him personally. I'm just talking about this just seems weird that this is even something we're talking about. Is this where I'm going to have to go in the future? I go to Target and I have to do a Google search to find out, who's
Kevin,
selling the pillow
right
because
millennials and younger they'll go to the store. There's several washing machines at Sears, right? Sears doesn't even exist anymore. Wherever you buy a washing machine now, Best Buy, I'm too old. And they'll look at the companies and they'll Google the company. They'll look at the CEO, they'll make sure that they have a certain percentage that goes to this or that. They want to make sure that the company is carbon neutral. This is just how shoppers are now in the younger generation. I mean, I'm too old for that. I'm going to go there and I look at the washing machine and does it work? Does this one work better than this one? And then I'll buy the one that's the best price that will do the best job. But that's not how people buy stuff anymore.
Right. And if this dishwasher or this pillow costs a few dollars more, are the features or the comfort it brings to me worth that extra few dollars? I just think this is great. Well, anyway, this must not be a very good business model anyway, because David Hogg is quitting. He quit the project that he designed.
It's hard to start a company. I think that Brodsky just found out that it takes a lot of time and energy to start up a company.
Right. So it says here, gun control advocate David Hogg announced that he is resigning from Good Pillow in order to focus on activism and his college studies. That might have been the other big mistake. You don't typically, you can start a company in college. A lot of famous people have, but you're doing it basically at the cost of your studies. So in a series of tweets, Hogg20 said he had stepped away from the pillow company, that he planned to be progressive competition. Why can't it just be competition? It has to be progressive competition for MyPillow CEO and vocal conspiracy theorist Mike Lindell. On Saturday, Hogg thanked his Good Pillow partner William Legate and said he would focus on his college studies and gun control activism. He stated, effective immediately, I've resigned and released all shares, any ownership, and any control of Good Pillow LLC. I want to thank his partnership and wish him absolutely nothing but success with the future of Good Pillow. And by the way, it's not listed in this article, but they might not even be able to use that name because someone might have actually copyrighted that before they made the company. So I don't know. Here's the thing. The point of this section, I totally encourage people to start companies. I actually think it's wonderful when you try to be entrepreneurial, but I think if you're going to start a company, you should really focus on two things first: a quality product and making money. Frankly, the activism should not be in it.
That might be a good idea, is a basic business plan. What's it going to cost? How much money is going to have to get invested in it?
Right. Because I can also kind of see where you're coming from. As a selling tool, it's ironically kind of effective at the moment. I don't know if this is going to be the way forever, but at the moment, yeah, you're right. Some people won't eat at Chick-fil-A. They'll eat at Popeyes because they disagree with the religious beliefs of the owners. But at this end of the day, most people admit that Chick-fil-A tastes better, and it's like that's what's ultimately going to carry them.
I don't know, man. That Popeye's chicken sandwich is legit good, bro. Like, I might never eat at Chick-fil-A again, and it's not because of my political ideology. That sauce they have on that spicy chicken sandwich at Popeye's,
I don't like that. I don't like that
bro,
sauce as
that's
much as
a good sandwich,
sauce.
dude.
Look, it's fine. It doesn't. Well, let's put it this way: if the Chick-fil-A, just assuming the Chick-fil-A sandwich and the Popeye sandwich taste very similar, well, in that case, what's the tiebreaker? Well, Chick-fil-A has better fries, so there you go.
Chick-fil-A does have better fries, but the spicy shrimp from Popeyes, I mean, it was so good that I stopped my car, got out of my car, went to the front desk and said, I want to thank the chef. Okay. That when first time I had their popcorn shrimp, I was like, this is the best popcorn shrimp I've ever had.
Well, I don't really like shrimp, so there you have it. So anyway, this story was just, I know we're probably going to offend a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers, but again, this was not really political related. It's like, this is bad business. This is bad business.
Might be good business, but the way that you go about it was bad business. Like, I don't think he had a legitimate business model. That's why he quit. He's like, oh, this is going to be work, man.
Yeah, well, Michael Jordan had a very wise saying when they would ask him, why don't you get political? And he said, even Republicans buy shoes. And yeah, so maybe that's the philosophy people should stick with. Anyway, folks, what do you think? Do you think this could have potentially worked? Do you think Hogg was onto something? Or do you think, nah, this is like a very bad base of your business model? We'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and flame responsibly. Now, we did have one more topic. However, I think we are going to end it there. It's been an hour. I think an hour is usually a good amount of time. Plus, if my ears does deceive me, I think your kids might be needing daddy attention.
Yeah, so nap time is over. And
nap time is over.
We have entered playtime at the house.
We have entered playtime. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us, Aaron. Hopefully you can join us again. For those of you who are on YouTube, please like, favorite, share, subscribe. And we also have this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud.
You mean Yeezify?
Yeezify?
Yeezy, man. He owns Spotify now, doesn't he?
I don't know, to be honest. And by the way,
force the Kardashian buy Spotify. That's the way to go, right?
Yeah. By the way, I know Jack's probably not with us anymore, but when he said, "How do you not know who KD is?" I might know who KD is, but you know what? I say no abbreviations because I don't always know what the abbreviation means. It's like just it's like Kim Davis. I mean, come on,
man. And you know who MJ is. If someone says MJ, you know that's Michael Jordan. You should know who KD is.
Or it could be Michael Jackson.
No, that's not Michael Jackson.
In my world, it is. So anyway, thank you all for joining us. We will catch you next time. And as always, stay safe out there.